Welcome to F1 testing, where there are red flags for buses on a track tour and mechanics using flashlights because the pinnacle of motorsport can't keep the lights on. However, that is not what we are focusing on today, and in this video I'm going to try and beat the fastest lap time set in the 2025 F1 testing. This was a 1 minute 29.348 and it was set by Carlos Sainz, and I'm going to try and beat this lap time inside of F1 24 time trial. So I won't lie to you, this track is my worst and least favourite on the entire F1 game, so I already knew that this first lap was going to be a complete disaster, and after a semi-decent turn 1, this happened. And, well, the mistakes didn't exactly stop there. Yeah, that was a mess. However, trust me, it does get better. And to be completely honest with you, I have got no idea how far I finished this lap behind the target because I am voice recording this after day 1 of testing, so it will be somewhere on the screen. Please forgive me. So of course, my next lap, there was actually an improvement, was astronomically better than my first run because through turn 2 I didn't spin, which brought me to 6 seconds in the green. I also managed to keep the race car facing forwards only just through turn 4, which left me 11 seconds up to the delta. And later on, I managed to further improve on this after a very dodgy run through turn 10, which is honestly just a corner I despise. Anyway, I was now 15 seconds up, which I would have maintained if I didn't have an absolutely shocking 2 corners at turn 12 and 13. However, I would make up for this in future improvements. Of course, this brought down my gap to the overall goal by a long way, and it was now time to air out the minor mistakes and start properly dialing in to the racetrack. And not too long after this, I was coming into the dreaded turn 10, 3 tenths up, and something unexpected was about to happen. For this stage in the challenge at least, I had a really good run going through this long left-hander, and by the end of the back straight I had gained an entire second, and I did not plan on stopping here. Through turn 11 I kept it super tidy, and honestly I took it really cautiously, but that did not matter as it gained me another 4 tenths. And after another dodgy turn 12 and 13, I brought myself all the way up to 2.8 seconds in the green, which was just unreal. I now just had to hold my nerve going through the final corner, which is an extremely corner to invalidate on the exit of. Thankfully though, I managed to keep the car on track even with a minor mistake on traction, which cost me 2 tenths, but who cares as I just made 2.6 seconds worth of progress. This was absolutely brilliant, and I knew that there was even more time to find on that lap. And not too long after this, I'd already found some of that lap time after a very good front half of the track. It was now time for the back end where I knew the bulk of lap time was available. However, I had an absolutely rubbish entry and exit out of turn 11, which cost me a huge 4 tenths of a second, so I knew that it was time to take a risk. I say a risk, but it really isn't, apart from the fact that I stink at this racetrack. But anyway, I took turn 12 flat out and directly followed the world record holder's line going through turn 13. And this brought me well on the way to almost a second up to the delta coming into the final corner, which once again I had to nail. But unfortunately this time I did not do that, and I was just way too eager on the exit where I accelerated so early, and this cost me a huge 4.5 tenths worth of lap time. This was super frustrating, but I still made a massive 6 tenths worth of progress, and this lap was pretty good, so I was a little bit worried that it was not going to be easy to beat. And well, sadly I wasn't really wrong about this. For the next, I'd say half an hour, I was just making mistakes all over the place. But mainly at turn 1, I just kept spinning there every time, but this was along with the fact that whenever I did have a good turn 1 and eventually had a good lap, I would spin later in the lap, completely wiping out any progress. This was honestly so annoying, but I wasn't going to end day 1 on a failure, so I was going to just keep on driving even if it took pure luck to set one more improvement. And this could be that lap. Coming into the final corner, I was a 10th up and losing time, so I knew that I had to nail it, especially considering how bad of a run I had on my previous personal best. And well, as you can see, I did not even have that good of a run, but I still managed to gain time, which I'm of course not complaining about. This was because I just wanted to finish day 1 on an improvement, and I had done exactly that. I finished this lap with 4 tenths worth of progress. I currently have no idea how close I am to the overall goal, but trust me, I am super motivated to keep driving tomorrow. So for day 2, my aim was to, well, just keep improving, because at the current time of recording, it is just after day 2 of testing, and the fastest lap is set by Carlos Sainz. And he has just set a 1 minute 29.348, and that was the time that I knew at a minimum I had to beat, and I started off this second day excellently. And as you can see, 5 laps in, I am just under half a tenth up coming into turn 3, and throughout the entirety of this corner, I was super cautious. I mean, it took me 2 seconds to get to full throttle, but my patience was rewarded as I was now 4 tenths up, which I managed to improve on going through the winding section of corners. Unfortunately, I did manage to lose around a tenth of a second on the exit of turn 8. However, I managed to maintain this improvement all the way up until turn 13, which we have just phased into. Once again going through turn 13, I didn't exactly have a brilliant run, but I am not complaining because we're now coming into the final corner 6/10 up with a lot of time to find. And I did find this time. After a semi-decent exit, I gained another 3/10 of a second, and my first improvement of day 2 was worth 9/10. This was huge, and I had only just got started. And not too long afterwards, I just had an excellent first half of a lap. I was over 5/10 coming into turn 11, but everything was about to go all wrong. On the entry to the corner, I just turned in way too early, and I had the worst exit in the world, which really cost me some crucial lap time. But I was still in the green, and any progress gets me closer to the target, so I was not going to give up on this lap. On the exit of turn 13, I've got no idea what happened, but I had to tactically rejoin the track whilst lifting, so I did not get an invalidated lap. Fortunately for me, I didn't, and I just had to hold my nerve going through the final corner just like the previous lap, which is exactly what I did, and I just made another quarter of a second improvement. And although that lap was far from perfect, the next lap was going to be just that. Right, you lot, I am not going to waste your time, but we are around 2 months away from F1 25 being released, and I have some very important news. I have spoken to someone at EA Sports, and they have said that I need 25,000 subscribers for early access to the new game. This means I need just under 6,000 subscribers before the game is released, so please subscribe as only 14% of you are right now, and back to the video. Thank you so much. And we are going to start this special lap from the very beginning, because trust me, you do not want to miss a single bit. Going through the first 3 corners, I did not think that I had that good of a run. However, I clearly did, as I was now 1.5 tenths up coming into turn 4. Sadly though, through this corner I lost a little bit of time. However, this would not matter, as going through the winding section of corners, I managed to gain it all back and even more, which I further improved on after leaving turn 8. This brought me to over 4 tenths up, and we are now speeding up to turn 11, as through the next part of the lap, nothing really changed. Going through turn 11, I had a fantastic corner. I managed to get very close to the apex, and although I ran a little wide, I had maintained high minimum speed. This brought me to over 5 tenths up, and I got super lucky after a very poor turn 13, where I managed to maintain my gain. And we are now going to speed up to the end of this lap, as nothing really changed through the final corner. Just a reminder, at the time of voice recording, the fastest lap set is a 1 minute 29.348, and I will just let this play out. Yeah, that really just happened. I just set the exact same lap time that Carlos Sainz had set, which at the time of voice recording is the fastest lap in testing so far. And genuinely, I do not know if this will be improved on in day 3 of testing, so I will be back tomorrow, as I could not quite improve on this lap time today. Yeah, so it turns out that Carlos's lap time was not beaten, but this is no time for complaining. I now have to get my head down, start driving properly, and go and beat this lap time.
Is that what demons do? They rule the world to me, destroy everything. They bring down angels like you. I'm rising from the ground, rising up to you. Filled with all the strength I found, there's nothing I can do.
I had done it. In the end, I beat the fastest 2025 F1 testing lap time by over 0.3 of a second, which I am just delighted with. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, and I will hopefully see you next week.